Hello and welcome to the Powerful Personal Brand Podcast. I am your host, Claire Bahn, and on today's episode, I am going to discuss why building a strong personal brand is essential and how it may be more important than traditional networking. So the idea for this podcast came from me earlier this week. I spoke to a recent college grad, a friend of a friend, and basically, we were talking about how this person could leverage their experience to get to the next level. And, the consummate thing that happens after that is like, do you know anyone else that I can speak to and all that kind of stuff. So obviously, you go from one person to the next person to the next person. So, it magnifies from there, but it's very small magnification. I gave this person advice saying, okay, well, you want to build your personal brand that is really going to help you get to the next level, because most people won't do it. You're going to be in a much smaller group. Build your brand that's going to help you get to the kind of the next job, right? Build content around what you're currently doing to show your expertise, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I do this a lot. Like if friends and family come to me and they ask for my advice, like, how do I get my next job? And what should I do? And I always say, build a website, do these things, put yourself out there, blah, blah, blah. But I often feel that people don't listen because I haven't seen a single person that I've told to do this that are my friends and family actually do it. So I kind of am like, I hope that this person I spoke to actually takes my advice because I do this every day and I see value for my clients. And it's just such a shame when you see people that won't actually take action. They're like, won't you give me this secret? And I'm like, yeah, here it is. And they're like, oh, but that's hard. Yeah, it is. Last year I spoke to a bunch of soon to be graduates from the Pepperdine Law School. And I remember there was this one person who was like, I thought she was so smart. She's like, well, what if I like totally am against social media? Then what can I do? I'm like, why are you even here? Like, stop. It's like someone that attends like a comedy event and is like, what if I'm against laughing? Just seriously, I don't even need a response because it's so stupid. So if you're against social media, if you're against putting yourself out there, then you know what? This is not for you. Stay where you are. Like if you want to get ahead, then this is for you. If you want to stay where you are, stay where it's safe, stay where everything is just how it is, then why do you want more? You're happy where you are. Stay where you are. For the people that want more, well, I'm going to tell you how to do it. So that's basically it. So many people want the answer, but they want it to be like this immediate thing that can be done. Well, can't you just push a button? Well, can't you just put me on this thing for you? Can't you just make a stretch, put your neck out there and do this for me? I'm like, yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. All right. So let's talk about personal branding versus networking. So networking. I do believe that networking is important, building relationships, exchanging values, connecting with people, like all of that sort of stuff. Really, I mean, it is so important. So I'm not saying we need to get rid of it, but your personal brand really is important. And a lot of people don't think about it. So what is personal branding? So personal branding is so many things. It is what people think of you before you walk into a room. That is your personal brand. You can take a hold of the narrative. You can share content, share your expertise. So say you're a college student or a law student, whatever, share what you learned, share, things that were hard and how to get ahead. When I had someone on my podcast, it was a while ago. And one of the most important things that he taught me was that basically he built his brand around essentially sharing his story of how he got to where he was. So he was going to my past self 6 months ago. Here's what you should do day one and then day two. So he was only 6 months ahead of the person starting out, but that was really powerful. And he built a great personal brand just by sharing that. So you can share, getting your first job, getting your first internship, getting into grad school, whatever it may be, share kind of things that you've learned. There's so many ways to share information, it's not bragging. So really just throw that out the window. Website is, again, super powerful for your personal brand. It's your home. You can share content. You can share essentially your resume. It's how people can contact you. Fantastic home for yourself online is your website. So the next thing too is that videos are so important. They're so important. And the thing I see so much is there's so much resistance to doing video. There's so much resistance. This is video. And I can't tell you how many clients and people, potentials and stuff that come to me and they watch my podcast, listen to the podcast, and they're like, oh my God, that one spoke to me so much. But they don't realize that this was a video and that is why it spoke to them. So one of the things that I want to talk about too is like, yeah, I tell this to people that I do kind of video training with. I have notes in front of me. I have notes that kind of say, okay, here kind of is the guide, as if you're giving a speech, right? You have your teleprompters that are giving you kind of keeping you on target. So you're not like kind of meandering. And if something happens and you lose your train of thought, you're like, oh yeah, this is where I need to continue. So you have your notes in front of you, but you're sharing a story. You're sharing real thoughts. So I cannot tell you how many people are like, well, can't I use filters? Like, do I really have to wear makeup? Do I really have to do my hair? Can I just use an avatar? You're going to build thought leadership, and your presence, you're going to gain visibility by being fake, by being a poser, by being disingenuine. I mean, that is the antithesis of personal branding. Personal branding is authenticity. It is altruism, giving information. And, it is showing up. It is being there. The other important thing to talk about with networking versus personal branding is like, networking is kind of like 1995 technology instead of the latest and greatest. Personally, I'm always an early adopter of technology. But yeah, basically, while networking, I will admit, networking has gotten me most of my corporate jobs. It's gotten me clients. So networking is great. So I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying you're still using old technology, expecting today's results with your old technology. So what's that mean? It's going to be slower. It may not be as efficient. Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, less efficiency and slower. If that's what you want, then go. Again, more power to you. Do you? But if you want something faster, if you want something 2025 and beyond, personal branding along with networking is where it's at. So just doing networking, at events and things like that, it's so much more powerful to network online as well. And your brand helps you do that. So the first time I really discovered the power of personal branding was when I was an actress. I learned that basically there were people that were in my sphere. They were saying, hey, you need to build a personal brand. You need to build a website. You need to get a Facebook page, because this is, a while ago, and Twitter, and start posting and doing stuff. So I was like, what am I going to talk about? Like, again, like, what am I going to talk about? And someone that I worked with was like, well, acting is kind of cool. Talk about essentially your behind the scenes, because it's like kind of cool. People want to know. So this person that I knew came up with the name of my blog, which was The Life and Bullshit of an Actress. And I started blogging and I started posting about the stuff that I would do and the kind of the weird things that would happen and things like that. And yeah, I jumped in. Woo, all in. I was all in on it. And that's how I got to where I am today. So just imagine, again, talking to the one person that leads to maybe one or two people, and, it branches out, it gets bigger. But social media and your website, the trajectory and the power for it to multiply so quickly. So imagine this. The slowest part is your website. So I SEO a blog, and that blog attracts thousands of people to my website, even years after it was posted. right? I still get people to my website. They're coming to me, whatever it is, whether you want leads, whether you just want to tell people your story. That is the power of your website and SEO. Then you have social media and videos, TikToks, Reels, shorts, long form like this. The power of that. So your friend sees your video and they think it's really great. So they like it, they comment, and then the algorithm goes like, hey, people like this. I'm going to share it to more people. Then those people like it. I'm going to share it to more and more and more. So you wonder why someone can basically just have like, a few hundred, maybe 10 views on videos. And then all of a sudden it goes to like 1 million. That's how it amplifies when it resonates. And I've said this in other videos, you want to actually either educate, you want to entertain people, or you want to inspire people. That is really the 3 key things that your content should do. So that's just so, so key. So then the other thing that your online brand can do for you is the power of perception and credibility. So say you meet somebody, and I mean, there's so many people like just, say you meet somebody and they're real slick, right? They know how to say everything. They've memorized everything. They know how to say everything. They're just kind of like perfect. Then you look at them online and they're just too perfect. Like there, you find some holes. You're like, I actually don't believe that you are who you say you are. But then you find this other person who's maybe not as perfect, but they're sharing content in maybe a slightly imperfect way, but it's insightful, it's entertaining, and it inspires. That person is the one that's actually going to really leapfrog with their personal brand, because those are the emotions you want, not, something's off. So perception and credibility are so, so key. That's why, like, when you see people that are like, oh, can I just use ChatGPT to come up with all of these things and do this kind of stuff? Yeah. Essentially, you're going to it's regurgitating information that somebody already put out there. It's not coming up with new information. It's not really thinking for itself. It's getting that information, putting it in, giving it to you in a succinct fashion, but it doesn't have the experience. It doesn't have your knowledge. So when you're sharing your expertise, primarily through video, that's what's actually going to connect with people. That is the authenticity. That is the thing. That is the secret. That is the secret. So then beyond that, you can control your narrative. You can control how people perceive you, and you can just put yourself out there, which, I mean, I think is amazing. How amazing is that? That we did not have that power in 1995. The power that we have today to just really say, this is who I am and this is where I want to be. Not this is where I am and this is only how far I can get based on where I started. No, you're like, I want to be here and I am going to work to get there. It's just so powerful. So that is kind of the difference between, networking and branding. I mean, one of the things that I'm always just super pumped when we have, clients just do exceptionally well. And we had one of our clients who was super resistant to doing videos, and just really was like, why do I need to do this? It's so stupid. Did the videos and was like, you know what, Claire, you're right. You were like so right. I cannot believe how many people have reached out to me, texted me, called me, and just like, I saw your video. And it may be people that they already know what he's talking about, but they're like, I loved seeing your video. It was so great to just see your face, to connect, hear your side of your thoughts on this story. Anyway, we actually got him 3 opportunities this month, 2 times in U.S. News and World Reports, and once in Forbes. So, and the month isn't over, so who knows what else we're going to get him. But that is the power. You have to put yourself out there if you're going to get great results. It's just that simple. So essentially, like, what are the limits of networking without a brand, right? So we talked about it being like 1995, blah, blah, blah. If you have no brand, if I can't research you, if I can't kind of dig deeper, like, who are you? I may or may not do something about it, But if all of a sudden I do a Google research on somebody and I'm like, wow, look at all the things this person's doing. Wow, this is really great. Like, it's what I'm talking about, credibility and all that kind of stuff. So you meet someone with a strong personal brand and they are exactly who they say they were and everything like that. And then some. You're like, I've seen these videos and I like you even more. You're like, let's go out for coffee. Well, let's whatever. You invite them to some other networking event. You actually say, hey, based on our meeting, I actually would love to connect you with this person because, this person that you really, really love and like, who's very important to you, you're like, I'm just not going to connect them to anybody, but you, based on your personal brand and everything that I've seen about you, are someone that's fantastic, and I'm going to connect you with my other fantastic person. So it makes people want to go out on that limb. It makes people want to go the next step if they actually see your brand and you're like, you're awesome. Yeah, let's do it. So having a great personal brand can draw the right network to you. I've talked about the magnetizing effect of your personal brand. It's a magnet. It's almost like, it's not like, you build it, they will come. But it has the opportunity to magnetize, especially if you use SEO, mentioned on your website. For instance, random comment that I saw on one of my social media posts, they were like, whenever you do search anything personal branding anywhere, Claire Bahn comes up first. Yeah. It's intentional. It's intentional. And that's what I'm talking about, the power that you actually have. So I obviously have, the expertise to talk about it, to help people and all that kind of stuff. But that is like, and I don't know if you knew this, because this actually came up recently with a client, but Google itself, they actually really want to make sure that if they're going to bring someone to the top of the heap, essentially on search, that you actually have the experience. So there are people that actually will go and say, okay, is this person actually the best? So, it's not just back in the day, you can, word stuff your page. You could do what they call black hat tactics. It's a lot harder now with all of the technology and things like that out there. So they actually really want to elevate true leaders, true thought leaders. So again, building a strong personal brand, opportunities will flow to you rather than you having to seek them out, having to feel awkward. You know who you are and they will come to you. So that's really, really important. So again, they're complementary. They're not in competition with each other. So why is networking and personal branding? Why should they be integrated? So both are very successful in attracting opportunities when done together. So I kind of talked about, meeting that person, great personal brand, and it makes you want to kind of go out on a limb for them, have a great personal brand, networking comes to you. So it's just easier. Networking comes to you, opportunities come to you, jobs come to you. Like it's just, you see it. That's the power. So a strong personal brand can make networking easier and you're truly more authentic. So when you're building your personal brand, part of the whole thing, and sometimes I joke like, oh, your personal brand statement, it's not the be all end all. I will tell you that. But in the process of building kind of like, I am X, I do this, you essentially work on your 30-second pitch, your 15-second pitch. So when you're talking to somebody, say, oh, just tell me about yourself. You kind of know who you are and what you do really succinctly. So you know who you are and you've already worked on your brand statement. So you can easily kind of walk into a networking situation and you're like, I've got this. Like, I don't have to be worried about meeting somebody because I have worked on who I am and who I serve and who I help and all that sort of stuff. So the active personal branding can actually help you when you're in person as well. So, so the other things of kind of how personal branding can help you. So imagine you're attending a event as a thought leader. People actually know who you are before you enter the room. So you go there as a thought leader. People are like trying to seek you out. They want to bring you opportunities. So I mean that's kind of amazing. And so again, and if people research you after the event, they're much more likely to connect with you afterwards because your brand is so compelling, because you're doing such amazing things. They want to be around amazing people. So you can leverage your personal brand for warm introductions, so many things, get the next job. Like, yeah, just putting yourself out there and showing your authenticity is just such a powerful thing. What are kind of the takeaways? What are the things that I really, really want you to really remember? So building your personal brand, clarify who you are, share content, and engage online, all that sort of stuff. But you need to put yourself out there. Like people will kind of say, well, I want press and I want these things, but I don't want to put myself out there. Or I hear putting yourself out there, oh, it feels like bragging. So if it feels like bragging, then you're doing it wrong. If you, this isn't, do you think I'm bragging right now? Am I bragging? No, I'm not. I'm sharing information that helps people. I'm sharing my knowledge freely to help people. And that's it. So if it feels like you're bragging, then maybe you're bragging. Don't. Share information freely and help people. And that is what one will feel good to you. And that's what's going to be engaging, inspiring, entertaining, all that sort of stuff. So the next thing is just start. It's going to be imperfect. So actually, I was online on Instagram, and I saw there's a influencer that I follow. His name is Jefferson Fisher. He posted something. I was like, okay, well, 3 years ago, I started this channel, and it was only with people that I knew. And he's like, even when I look at this video, it's kind of embarrassing that 3 years ago, that was my video, and where it kind of perfected my craft essentially today. But now he has over 5 million followers on Instagram alone, and opportunities are coming to him. He was on Mel Robbins' podcast, which is the top podcast in the world, country, whatever. Huge opportunities are coming to him because he just started and he just posted his first video. It made him cringe. And all he does is shoots videos in his car. Like he doesn't have this perfect set. He's not striving for perfection. He's just helping people. And that was it. So ultimately, that's just really the key. You just need to get started. Nike, use their slogan. Just do it. Get in there and show value. And that's all you have to do. Networking is great. Always network. Always connect with people. But doing so with a strong personal brand, the level of magnification and the trajectory of your path is just, it's amazing if you just kind of put yourself out there and share information and help people. Just kind of like what I said with Jefferson Fisher. Started 3 years ago, which isn't that long ago, to gain a following of, I think it's like 5.6 million people. That's a lot of people that he's helped. So super, super important. So I would love to know what you think. Maybe you don't agree. Let me know. Give me a comment. What's your thought of personal branding versus networking? How do they work together? What do you think is better than the other? So let me know in the comments. And thank you for watching and listening. And if you're interested in finding out how your personal brand currently stands, I invite you to take my personal brand rating assessment. It'll give you a snapshot of where you are and steps you can take right now to improve it. You can find it in the description box along with other places to find me. And I will see you next time. Bye.